What's up, J Fusion fans? This is Philip with a brand new video, and today we're going to talk about the Memorial Edition Seiken Swordriver from Kamen Rider Saber. Now, before we begin, this video is not intended for viewers under the age of 13, so please be advised. Now, this video isn't actually news about a new item, but rather how this item seems to be making controversy already within the Kamen Rider fan community. So, for a bit of context, so the Seiken Swordriver, or the Memorial Edition Seiken Swordriver, was announced after episode 9 of Kamen Rider Saber. So the differences between the Memorial Edition and the regular Seiken Sword Driver are, number one, it seems to have a newer design. The design seemed to have been updated and should look slightly better. But uh, the next two differences are, one, it has a micro SD card with an SD card adapter that you can plug into your PC for additional downloadable content from Kamen Rider Web. So these three changes are the differences to the Memorial version. Now, as for the downloadable content, so you download them from Kamen Rider Web, and they seem to be going to be updated gradually. So the downloadable content specifically would be voices for Kamen Riders Saber, Blades, and Espada. So you do have the voices of Toma, Rintaro, and Kento respectively, and maybe some additional sound effects that are not included in the regular Seiken Sword Driver. Now, here is why this item is seemingly controversial. Now, I don't have the deluxe Seiken Sword Driver myself. However, I am going to use this Ho-Oh blade as an approximation because the design seems to be similar, like especially the size. I do think they're close enough. That's why I'm going to use this instead. Now, the sword is where the differences lie, basically. So it in this part, so assuming that this is the sword from the Seiken Sword Driver, so at this part, so there is actually an area that has a cover, and when you open that cover, there seems to be a slot that can fit a micro SD card. And I have seen a photo on Facebook from someone who seems to own a Seiken Sword Driver. Now I don't have that photo because I forgot where I found it. But nonetheless, the owner opens the blade of the sword, and inside there's an empty space where an SD card reader should be. So these things are now included in the Memorial Edition of the Seiken Sword Driver. Now, for those who own, for those who already own their deluxe Seiken Sword Driver, so you probably would have noticed that extra slot already, or maybe if not, you can try opening that section of the blade, and you will see that SD card slot. So this is where things get interesting. Now, I have seen comments on posts about the Memorial Edition Seiken Sword Driver, and I've seen a lot of complaints about the item. Now, basically, what people are complaining about is that the SD card function, this also the downloadable content, should have been already included from the get-go. So, yeah. Now, I've been checking the prices for the regular edition Seiken Swordriver and comparing it to the deluxe or the premium Bandai edition, the memorial edition. So the regular Seiken Swordriver is sold at more or less, the 7,800 yen, and then the memorial edition is sold for a little over 10,000 yen. So there's about a 2,000 yen difference between the regular edition and the premium Bandai Memorial Edition. So let's say, for example, that Bandai actually sold the Seiken Sword drivers from the beginning already with that the SD functionality and the downloadable content. I think that the selling price for the original or the regular deluxe Seiken Sword driver would already be higher than it should be, and I don't think that's going to be very good because with that extra functionality comes the extra price, and that would definitely turn down, or that would definitely turn away potential buyers, because you're basically already going to pay premium price for what is supposed to be a regular deluxe children's toy. Now, does this mean that the regular Seiken Sword Driver is bad? Does it mean that it's incomplete? I mean, sure, even if, like, you do have that slot over there, but well, even if you do get the SD card because you don't have the card reader, downloading from Kamen Rider Web is useless. It won't work. Now, again, is the Seiken Sword Driver bad? I say no. I've been looking at different toy reviews for the regular Seiken Sword Driver, and from what I've seen so far, it works as it should. You do have the functioning lights, you do have the sound effects, it is compatible with other Wonder Ride books. There's already a lot of play value in that, and you're just basically paying extra not only for the SD card and probably the improved aesthetic of the memorial version Seiken Sword Driver, but you're also paying for the voices of the characters. And again, so let's say, like I've said earlier, even if you can download those voices for free on Kamen Rider Web, because you don't have the card reader, you probably wouldn't be able to enjoy those voices, and it's useless. That's why you still need the SD cards. So yeah, in a way, you're paying for the voices as well. But like I said, even just the regular Seiken Sword Driver, even though it already looks expensive as it is already, uh, I don't think it's broken. I don't think it lacks anything. Sure, again, you do have that weird SD card slot, but by any means, I don't think it's a bad item. You know, what I am going to say, however, is that it's too soon to release the memorial version of the Seiken Sword Driver. Now, anything that Premium Bandai puts a memorial on it is usually advertised right after the end, or right after the final episode of any show that they're advertising. So let's say, for example, the realizing Hopper Progress Key. It is a memorial item for Kamen Rider Zero One, and just a few minutes after the end of Kamen Rider Zero One, Premium Bandai had already opened the page for the Realizing Hopper Progress Key. And the same thing they do with Super Sentai as well, because after the final episode of Liu Soldier, Premium Bandai has announced the one scale CSM Ryusoken. And yes, it has the memorial on its name. So for a memorial item, it's way too early to be released. We're just 9 episodes in with Kamen Rider Saber, and now Premium Bandai is releasing a memorial version of the Seiken Swordriver. So I did receive a comment on that kind of post and saying, well, why not give it an extending blade? Why not give the swords an extending blade to make it, to make them look bigger? And I say, sure, it's possible, but definitely expect the price to go up as well. And you might as well call it a CSM at that point. Now, this Memorial Edition Seiken Sword Driver, by the way, is not a CSM. So it's just a quote unquote improved version of the deluxe Seiken Sword Driver. Now, uh, let's say, for example, if you've already bought the regular Seiken Sword Driver and you saw this Memorial Edition, should you feel that you've been cheated out of a deal? Should you feel compelled to buy a Memorial Edition Seiken Sword Driver? I'd say no, not really. You don't have to do that. Like I've said, the Seiken Sword Driver, the regular one, works as it should, at least from what I've seen. Unless there's something wrong with the, you know, let's say for example that the lights aren't working, the sounds aren't working properly, then you probably received you know, a malfunctioning item. But at least for the reviews that I've seen, the Seiken Sword Driver works pretty well for what it is. Again, even without that SD card, even without the voices of the characters, it seems like a decent enough toy in my opinion. But let's say you haven't bought the Seiken Sword Driver yet, so would you rather buy the premium Bandai version? Well, that one is really up to you. If you probably have the money for it, then by all means, go ahead, buy the memorial version of the Seiken Sword Driver. If you want something that's a bit cheaper, then go for the regular version instead. Again, it's fine. So, again, going back to criticisms of the Seiken Sword Driver, the memorial version. So this is really my only complaint, that it's too early. But for the rest of it, the pricing, it's actually, well, I guess it's fair enough, I would say. Uh, I definitely wouldn't buy it because I don't have the money for it anyway. But you know, I would be happy to settle with the regular Seiken Sword Driver because it looks like a good item. Probably the only time that I would complain about the Seiken Sword Driver, if I ever bought one, I would only complain if it does happen to be a defective item. Like when I try to turn it on, there are no lights, there are no sounds, for example, or things that are, falling off when they shouldn't, or things that are fixed way too hard into place when they should be a bit loose, or you could actually remove them at all. So that would probably the only time that I would complain about something that's defective in the first place. But again, the regular Seiken Swordriver, um, it looks like it works, at least from what I see. So yeah, that's all for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Um, if you think that Seiken Sword Driver Memorial Edition is a waste of money, then uh, you don't have to buy it, really. So, uh, but definitely, you know, we can cool down just a bit and anyways enjoy what we enjoy. So thanks so much for watching. Please do leave a like, comment, share this video, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JE Fusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.